So my name is Chris, and I began hormone therapy in July of last year, so it's been a little bit over a year. Any, male and female, talk about how age is taking an effect, how they don't feel like themselves. My first response is, at the very least, get your blood work done, understand what's going on with your body today, so that way you can establish if a hormone therapy treatment is going to be beneficial, if it's something that's even worth your time and money. It's an investment, but it's worth every penny. It's been a long journey. Before hormone therapy, I was very emotional. I would cry at the drop of a hat, feeling a lot of feelings of depression. Before hormone therapy, I had trouble regulating my fatigue levels and my ability to just maintain energy for things like exercise and day-to-day activities, and my skin. I had a lot of what I would consider teenage skin issues, and it was very frustrating as a woman in her late 30s to be experiencing teenage skin problems. The skin issues that I experienced were fairly gradual, but definitely there was a period in aging where I noticed it was a pretty acute and drastic change. So about age 35 or so, I started to see an acceleration in the issues.
Before you had hormone therapy, how were your levels of fatigue or mental clarity?
I will say that before hormone therapy, my just ability to focus, my ability to process things rationally were a little bit skewed. I was a little bit fuzzy quite often. I was tired a lot. I felt like I was not getting good quality sleep, and emotionally was the biggest impact. Before hormone therapy, I felt as though I was walking on eggshells all the time. I was worried constantly, and it just affected my day-to-day ability to be successful. So because the impact of hormone therapy was pretty evident in my case, I went from crying at the drop of a hat to feeling very self-assured, feeling very confident, having far more energy and clarity. The difference was absolutely night and day. It was a pretty quick transition too. Once I started the hormone therapy treatment, it was a matter of a month or two where I was able to look back and think, oh my gosh, I'm almost a completely different person. I started to feel like myself again, which was a really nice feeling after months and months of frustration of not being able to explain why I felt the way I felt. And when I hear other women, especially my age, mid to late 30s, getting into their 40s, where the female body is just in constant flux, my first recommendation to them, because of my success and my experience, has been get your blood checked, get your hormone levels checked, understand what your body is going through, because it's probably going to be a pretty good indicator of what you're going through and how it can be addressed. And it's a pretty simple fix. It's a pretty simple, routine that you can get into. And it has been just life-changing in order to not only feel like myself, but also feel like I can have successful relationships with the people in my life, to be able to focus on the things that make me happy without having to question, body issues or emotional issues or skin issues. The improvement has allowed me to kind of stop worrying about that stuff. It's as noticeable as, so when I first was given a routine to follow every 7 to 10 days recurring, I thought, oh goodness, that's kind of a lot, until day 9 rolls around, and I've opted to do every 10 days just to be conservative. And literally day 8 and 9 rolls around, and I can feel myself getting a little bit more temperamental, maybe being a little bit more irritated by the people around me, just falling into that sort of behavior of irrationality is the best way to describe it. And so that in and of itself has really demonstrated the fact that, I can be a better contributor to the people in my life if I'm not so worried about what's going to happen on day 8, 9, and 10 when my levels start to fall, or worse, if I were to stop treatment, to revert back to who I was a year and a half ago and be so frustrated and just not have that self-awareness and that self-confidence. So it's nice to know that I'm maintaining my health, not only physically, emotionally, but I can kind of not put that as something I worry about, but something I'm confident in. And I tell everyone about it. I swear, it's funny. Once I hit age 30, 31, I definitely saw a noticeable slowing in my metabolism. I really had to be careful with what I was eating. I couldn't just eat pizza and beer and not feel the effects anymore. I've always been very active and I've always maintained my workout, so that was never an issue, but I did notice that my diet played a much bigger factor. And then moving, through the years, once I started to feel the effects of my natural hormones and also years of taking medications and so on and so forth, it became far more difficult to see the effects of sticking to a diet. Even so far as tracking macros or, sticking to a specific diet plan, I wasn't seeing the same kind of results that I had wanted to with the level of effort I was putting in. And once I started the hormone treatment, I did notice that I had a lot more very quick success when I was adhering to a diet like tracking my macros. It wasn't quite so difficult to maintain what I wanted to with normal workouts. I didn't have to kill myself in the gym, but as long as I was diligent in tracking, I saw the results that I wanted. I didn't have to wonder if I was going to see results that week or not. I didn't have weight fluctuations. I didn't really see a whole lot of appetite difference, but I did see the effects that maintaining a specific diet had. I was on estrogen-based birth control for 10 plus years and thought that it had no effect on my body. I really didn't think about the future repercussions that it was going to have. It was in that time when everybody was on it, and it helped with, regulating my, regular cycles and making sure that I wasn't in pain for weeks on end. But it really, really did have a huge effect. And, a year and a half ago when I started to investigate hormone therapy, I came in and got my blood work done, and my levels were just off the chart. I mean, my estrogen level was so high that it was kind of that aha moment that, okay, years of taking an estrogen-based medication has clearly built up in my body, and that explains a lot why I'm feeling a lot of these depressed emotions, why my, worry, my constant analyzing things, my physically crying all the time was just so, prominent. It was like an aha moment. So it was like, oh shoot, okay, how can we undo some of the repercussions that have happened because of years of choosing to take these other medications? So it's been nice to see the ability to reverse that by following a routine, checking my blood levels regularly, understanding what vitamins I needed to supplement and so forth, and seeing the change back to a healthy baseline has been awesome. So I'll start off by saying when the concept of being put on a hormone therapy treatment was presented to me, it was really scary. It was oh God, there's something wrong with me, and also the concept of, using testosterone and estrogen to fix certain blood levels is also very scary and a little bit taboo. And so I myself had some trusted resources that talked me through what the process looked like, just what the general precautions were. And that kind of put my mind at ease and helped me to go ahead and come in, get some blood work done, understand my levels, and then begin the treatment. And it was a lot of trust, but word of mouth really helped. Hearing other people's experiences and positive results really helped. And then now I'm kind of a walking billboard, so to speak, a year and a half later, where if I hear any of my friends, girlfriends especially, but any, male and female, talk about how age is taking an effect, how they don't feel like themselves, my first response is, at the very least, get your blood work done, understand what's going on with your body today, so that way you can establish if a hormone therapy treatment is going to be beneficial, if it's something that's even worth your time and money. It's an investment, but it's worth every penny. I tell people it's not inexpensive, but your health shouldn't be. So if you want to get back to feeling like yourself, I wish I had done it years ago. I really wish that I could have had somebody present it to me years ago, and I would have gone through a lot less heartache as a result. So, fear is part of it, and that's okay. Trusting the process is part of it, and that's okay. But knowing that there's an opportunity to have a little supplemental routine, get your levels back to where they should be, and get you back to feeling like you are yourself is completely invaluable. It's worth the time.